Right now, as you watch this, someone in your life is calculating how far they can push you. They're testing your boundaries with passive, aggressive comments, interrupting you mid-sentence, or treating your time like it is optional. And here is what they're counting on: that you'll smile, nod, and let it slide, because that is what good people do. Here is the devastating truth that will shatter everything you think you know about respect. The very act of explaining yourself to people who disrespect you is what gives them permission to continue disrespecting you. What if I told you that your biggest weapon against disrespect isn't a comeback, isn't a confrontation, and isn't even standing up for yourself in the traditional sense? What if the most powerful thing you could do is absolutely nothing? 1. The silent assassin, mastering the art of the unbothered stare. There is a secret weapon hiding in plain sight, and it has been available to you your entire life. It requires no words, no preparation, no perfect comeback. It is the silent stare, and it is about to become your most devastating tool. Picture this. Someone interrupts you for the third time in a conversation. Instead of fighting for your turn to speak, instead of getting flustered or raising your voice, you simply stop talking. You lean back slightly, cross your arms, and look directly at them. Not with anger, not with hurt, but with the calm confidence of someone who knows exactly what is happening. Here is the psychological truth that changes everything. People who disrespect others are emotional vampires feeding on your reactions. When you refuse to feed them, they starve. The silence becomes deafening. Everyone else in the room starts to notice. The disrespectful person suddenly realizes they're performing for an audience that is no longer engaged. They stumble over their words, look away, and most importantly, they remember this moment. They remember that you are not someone who can be bulldozed. This isn't about being passive, aggressive. This is about reclaiming your power through the simple act of not participating in someone else's drama. When you embrace the silent stare, you are saying, "I respect myself too much to get dragged into your negativity." 2. The power of strategic silence. When no response is the loudest answer. Here is where most people get it completely wrong. They think silence equals weakness, that not responding means you are letting someone get away with it. But silence isn't passive fey. It is strategic, calculated, and incredibly powerful. When someone throws negativity at you, they're trying to pull you into their emotional tornado. They want you to defend yourself, to justify your choices, to get rattled. But what happens when you don't take the bait? What happens when you let their words hang in the air like a bad smell that everyone can notice? The hidden truth that will revolutionize how you handle conflict. Your silence forces them to sit alone with their own behavior, and most people can't stand that mirror. I remember watching someone try to provoke a friend of mine with increasingly personal attacks. My friend just sat there, completely unbothered, occasionally nodding as if the person was giving a weather report. The attacker got more and more frustrated, their comments became more desperate, and finally they just stopped. The silence had won. Think about it from their perspective. They expected a fight, an explanation, some kind of validation for their behavior. Instead, they got nothing. That nothing is everything. It is you saying, "You are not worth my energy, my words, or my emotional investment." 3. The explanation trap. Why justifying yourself is self-sabotage. This might be the most controversial thing I'll say. Stop explaining your choices to people who don't respect you. Full stop. Every time you justify your decisions to someone who is already shown they don't value your judgment, you are essentially asking for their permission to live your own life. Here is the brutal reality that will change how you move through the world. The moment you start explaining yourself to someone who disrespects you is the moment you hand them power over your decisions. Society has conditioned us to believe that we owe people explanations, especially when we make choices that make them uncomfortable. Got a new job? Explain why. Ended a relationship? Justify your reasons. Set a boundary. Provide a detailed breakdown of your thought process. But here is what nobody tells you. Confident people don't explain themselves to everyone. They make decisions based on their own values and judgment, and they're comfortable with others not understanding or agreeing. When someone questions your choices, try this revolutionary approach. Because I wanted to. That is it. No PowerPoint presentation, no defensive justifications, no attempt to get them on board. Just a simple statement of fact. Watch how uncomfortable this makes people. They're expecting you to dance for their approval, to prove that your choices are valid. When you don't, when you stand in the quiet confidence of someone who doesn't need external validation, it shifts the entire dynamic. 4. The distance strategy. Protecting your energy through selective availability. Let's talk about something that might make you uncomfortable. Not everyone deserves access to you. Your time, your energy, your emotional bandwidth. These are precious resources, and you get to choose how to invest them. Here is the uncomfortable truth that will transform your relationships. The people who drain your energy through constant disrespect are often the same people you are trying hardest to maintain connections with. Think of your life as an exclusive club. Not everyone gets VIP access. If someone consistently treats you poorly, crosses your boundaries, or makes you feel small, why are you keeping them in the front row of your life? Distance isn't about being mean or dramatic. It is about being selective. It is about recognizing that your peace of mind is more valuable than maintaining relationships that cost you your self-respect. I learned this lesson the hard way with a friend who had turned criticism into an art form. Every choice I made became fodder for their commentary. I kept thinking, that is just how they are, until I realized I was walking on eggshells in my own life. When I started limiting our time together, something remarkable happened. I remembered what it felt like to not constantly defend my existence. The guilt around distancing yourself from disrespectful people is real, but it is misplaced. You are not responsible for managing other people's emotions or maintaining relationships that harm your well-being. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself, and for them is to step back. 5. Crown up. The unbreakable power of holding your head high. This is where everything comes together. When you combine strategic silence, refusal to over-explain, and selective distance with one final element, unshakable confidence. You become untouchable to disrespect. Holding your head high isn't just about posture, though that matters. It is about moving through the world as if you already know your worth, as if you've got nothing to prove to anyone. It is about carrying yourself like someone who respects themselves so much that other people's disrespect simply bounces off. Here is the final truth that will set you free. Self-respect is not something you earn from others. It is something you claim for yourself. And once you truly claim it, other people's opinions lose their power to define you. When you walk into a room with your head high, when you speak with the quiet confidence of someone who knows their value, when you refuse to shrink yourself to fit into other people's comfort zones, you are making a statement. You are saying, I belong here, I deserve respect, and I am not negotiating on that. The most beautiful part. The more you practice this, the less disrespect you'll encounter. Not because people suddenly become more respectful, but because you'll naturally gravitate toward those who see your worth and away from those who don't. You'll start attracting relationships that lift you up instead of tear you down. The transformation, from reactive to unshakable. Here is what happens when you implement these strategies consistently. Week 1 to 2. You'll feel uncomfortable. Every instinct will tell you to explain, defend, or react. This is normal. You are breaking years of conditioning. Week 3 to 4. You'll start noticing how much mental energy you've been wasting on people who don't deserve it. You'll feel lighter, more focused. Month 2 to 3. People will start treating you differently. Some will respect you more. Others might distance themselves, and that is perfect. You are naturally filtering your relationships. Month 4 plus. You'll realize you've become someone who simply doesn't attract disrespect anymore. Not because you've changed others, but because you've changed how you show up in the world. Your new reality, living above the noise. The most powerful realization you'll have is this. Most disrespect isn't actually about you. It is about the other person's insecurities, their need to feel superior, their discomfort with your confidence or choices. When you stop taking it personally and start seeing it for what it is, their stuff, not yours, you become immune to it. You don't need to announce these changes to anyone. You don't need to explain your new approach or justify your boundaries. You simply start living differently. You start showing up as someone who respects themselves so much that disrespect from others becomes irrelevant. Remember, respect starts with you. The moment you stop tolerating disrespect from others is the moment you start commanding the respect you deserve. Stand tall. Speak less. Choose your battles, or better yet, choose not to battle at all. Let your unshakable self-respect do the talking. The right people will notice, the wrong people will move on, and you'll finally be free to live life on your own terms. The revolution starts with silence. Your silence, your choice, your power.